viewers, you're watching Perspective with your host Kriti Mishra. The ruling National Democratic Alliance won a majority in the Lok Sabha elections on Tuesday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday tendered his resignation to President Draupadi Murmu, who accepted it and asked him to continue till the new government assumes office. Earlier in the day, the Union Cabinet recommended the dissolution of the 17th Lok Sabha and the President of India accepted it. And for deeper insights on the government formation, I'm joined by an esteemed panelist. Joining me in the studio, Mr. Sunil Chaudhary, Professor of Political Science, Delhi University. He is also Director, Center for Global Studies. So welcome to Sunset TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's begin decoding the results that India gave yesterday. Sir, a historic third term for the NDA clinching majority for the third consecutive term. Your opening thoughts on that?
It's not only about the mandate for a BJP-led coalition. I would say it's a BJP-dominated coalition. It's also a mandate for the trust and the confidence which people have reposed on the Narendra Modi government at the centre. Secondly, I would say that's a third consecutive victory, keeping in view the trajectory of India's electoral democracy in past 7 decades, 7.5 decades. One could see that this is the second time that after Pandit Nehru, that Narendra Modi government, the BJP-led NDA government, has come to assume office for the third consecutive terms. You can also compare this present government formation from the rest of the countries in the world. Even in America and UK, you cannot find the third consecutive victory by any political leader or any political party. So from that perspective, one could say that this is a historic victory by the BJP-led NDA government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
Well, absolutely. And also joining us in the studio, senior journalist, Mr. Sandeep, sir. Welcome to Sunset TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're decoding the verdict 2024. Your opening thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it's fairly clear that the BJP, of course, fell short of majority of its own. But it's fairly clear that the NDA and the pre-poll alliance have a very clear and comfortable majority to run the government, and that's precisely what is expected to do. I mean, that is precisely what is expected of them to do. Earlier in the day, for example, Prime Minister Modi went and met President Murmu. He tendered his resignation. As we speak, the alliance partners of the National Democratic Alliance, they are meeting. So the next steps in this course would be that they will elect a leader, then all of them will go and meet President, they will stake claim, and eventually, of course, I presume that they would like, because as they say that, you know, governance cannot be in vacuum. So you will have to quickly follow it up by swearing in a new government, and then form the 18th Lok Sabha, in the sense that, you know, then you make MPs take oath and then carry on. Overall, I think, as Mr. Chaudhary said, it's true that, look, the reason why people are calling this, you know, like the opposition are calling this that they have also won, is because the expectations were very high. You know, the slogan was 400 par on its own. BJP was hoping to get 370. It's not an easy task when you've, you know, there is also an amount of voter. Even if I say that there is no anti-incumbency, there is voter fatigue. Then, of course, the conditions under which the elections were held, very hot conditions. Weather was definitely not very conducive for a large voter turnout. So these are also factors. We've seen in states like Uttar Pradesh, where actually the BJP, you know, suffered a setback in terms of numbers. The voter turnout was consistently low in all the 7 phases. And third, don't forget this, that, you know, there is also sometimes what happens is that when you have a very tall leader, a leader of tall stature and very decisive leader, and you feel that मैं वोट देने नहीं भी जाऊं तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है, मोदी जी को तो आना ही है. That kind of complacency, if it sets in fact, the BJP tried to correct this, by the way. This was a feedback that they got
towards the other phases.
Yeah, so in the initial phases, and after this feedback, they tried to correct it. Because every voter, every vote counts, they will have to go out. So this also may have played. I'm sure the party will do its own postmortem and you know, come up with factors. these may have been some of the reasons why they fell short of the magic number of 272 on their own.
That's right.
But having said this, they are now staking claim for a third term. So they have a comfortable majority. There's no problem in formation of government.
Dr. Chaudhary, do you think that complacency was the reason?
That could be attributed one of the reasons, because you see the urban apathy among the voters could
We've
be
been
one of the
talking about urban apathy, yes, sir.
That could be one of the reasons. And when this remark of going beyond 400, abki baar 400 par, that might have made the voters, suppose the supporters of the BJP-led NDA government, complacent in the sense that they were quite sure of winning this election. And another important factor is that because the elections were held in such a period where most of the young voters or the new voters might have been busy in their examination work, especially the young students. One could also see that there were migrants all across India. They were not able to come back to their constituencies during this period. So the Election Commission, maybe in the years to come, must have thought of roping those people into as part of participating in the electoral process when the elections are due. So this could be attributed as one of the reasons. But I would also say that because the BJP contested elections as a part of NDA alliance, so it was a mandate for an alliance. So from 2014, 2019, 2024, one could see that the coalitions are getting strengthened election after election. So that's a mandate for coalition elections, and one could say that's a NDA-driven, the BJP-driven NDA coalition. So I would say that this coalitional government gets strengthened, and the mandate for 2024 could also say that the second wheel of this coalition government, that is opposition, which is led by India Alliance. So these two important wheels seem to be getting strengthened as a part of parliament democracy, and 2024 mandate reflects towards that direction.
Oh, well, absolutely. But these numbers, let's talk about the numbers and let's just deconstruct numbers state by state. And first, let's talk about the states where BJP, of course, swept. Let's talk about Delhi. Let's begin talking about Delhi. Mr. Phukkan, all 7 seats.
Earlier also, I was speaking at another forum and I was asked the same question. I think it's an incredible victory for 2 reasons. One is that, as Mr. Chaudhary said, urban apathy is well known. Yes. By and large, the Delhi voters, most of the areas are in urban areas or semi-urban areas. You don't really have rural area as one would expect. So, given this kind of situation, it's a good victory, because remember that the BJP itself had anticipated that there could be anti-incumbency, and they had dropped as many as 6 MPs, yes, sitting MPs, and they had replaced them with fresh new faces. The only person, if I can recall, is I think Manoj Tiwari. He was the only one, Mr. Tiwari was the only one who was repeated from his constituency. Otherwise, they are all new faces. And I mean, they are new faces in terms of public representative. Otherwise, they are all, they have all been associated with the party. Praveen Khandelwal, for example, is someone we've all seen. We've known him as an office bearer of the Confederation of Association of Indian Traders.
Yes.
So, and likewise, Masuri Swaraj, we all know, late Sushma Swaraj's daughter. So, she's also done a, wonderful job in terms of winning this constituency. But the difference between the earlier, elections, this is for the 3rd election on the trot, BJP has scored a 7-0 to 2014, 2019, 2024. But what was the difference? The difference was that in 2014 and 2019, Congress and Aam Aadmi Party were fighting separately.
That's true.
So one could still say that, look, BJP gained from the division in the split of opposition votes, or in the split of anti-BJP votes. That was not the case this time. This time they had fought the elections in an alliance. This time, 4 seats were contested by Aam Aadmi Party, which is the ruling party in Delhi Assembly,
and a thumping majority.
Yes, and they have a majority, like what kind of majority they have in the Delhi Assembly. So you have Aam Aadmi Party, you have Congress that has ruled, and Congress now, it may be completely decimated in Delhi, but fact still remains that Congress was a party, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit had ruled Delhi back to back for 3 consecutive terms. And that's something even Prime Minister Modi had mentioned, I think, recently in one of his interviews. So Congress has had deep roots and they have a support base. So considering that all this came together and yet not in one single seat the alliance could win, I think it is worrying signs for both the parties, both the Congress party as well as Aam Aadmi party that has been suffering of late, that has been facing a lot of setbacks in terms of allegations of corruptions, etc. So I think they should really, in fact, in all of this, I would say that Aam Aadmi party is a bigger loser because they haven't done well even in Punjab, where they are ruling.
Well, that's a very legit point that you're raising. I'd like to take that to Dr. Chaudhary. Dr. Chaudhary, as Mr. Fukan pointed out, that in 2014 and 2019, of course, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress, they fought separately. 2024, they were in alliance. Despite that, the BJP ends up scoring 7-0. That's a huge cause of concern, particularly for the Aam Aadmi Party and for the Congress as well.
You see, when both the parties decided to come together as a part of an alliance, so that succeeded. They thought that it would be succeeding in Delhi, but not in Punjab, which means that there was disenchantment among the cadres, both within Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. So they didn't want to come together. So this could be seen as one of the key leaders, the state leader of Punjab, state leader of Delhi, left a Congress party and then joined Bharatiya Janata Party. So which means that the dissidence within the Congress and disenchantment among the AAP workers could be seen when the election process started taking place in Delhi. Secondly, I would also say that at one point of time, the selection of candidates, both by Aam Aadmi Party and by the Congress, might not have been accepted by the cadres across parties in Delhi. So, and on the other hand, as it is stated very categorically, that BJP replaced 6 candidates, and all these 6 candidates, they could be seen new faces, but not without basis. They were with strong organizational ideological basis. They have been cadres of the party. They have been working very hard right from the beginning. For instance, you can take the case of Mrs. Sehrawat, western part of Delhi. You could see the case of, say, Harsh Malhotra, northeast Delhi, East Delhi. Similarly, Mr. Khandelwal. So all these new faces, the new candidates which BJP projected against those 6 candidates who were working over there, must have seen that they have been with the party organizations right from the beginning. So
right.
The cadres, the Sangh cadres, the party cadres were supporting all the 7 candidates, and that might have led to the victory for BJP against all these candidates.
I think that's a very important point, because just to give you an example of a particular constituency, for example, a lot of these Congress workers were hoping that in the northeast Delhi constituency, Kanhaiya Kumar was chosen, and then in those, in the run-up to the elections, we saw a lot of anger spilling out onto the streets by Congress workers.
That's right.
And then eventually Arvinder Singh Lovely left and joined the BJP.
Yes.
So a lot of people thought that those were also the areas that were affected by the violence and riots during 2020. And Sandeep Dikshit, for example, was one person who had worked in that area. So Mr. Lovely was perhaps pitching for Mr. Sandeep Dikshit. He was earlier the MP of East Delhi. Of course, Congress thought process may have been that this is an area that has a very substantial, in fact, predominantly a Purvanchali population, people who speak Bhojpuri and Awadhi, so people from Bihar and Eastern UP. So, and Kanhaiya Kumar himself is from Bihar. So that, and also Manoj Tiwari. So maybe that is the reason why they wanted to field Kanhaiya Kumar. But if that was the case, then it shouldn't have been a last-minute decision. Then they should have actually groomed him for this role for a while. You don't impose somebody in the at the very last minute, and then face, because see, Manoj Tiwari is he was already a 2-term. This is his 3rd term now.
Yes.
So he was already a 2-term MP. So there should have been a better planning in terms of who they wanted to field. And they should have given that candidate a longer period of time to campaign and establish himself as a serious player there.
But wasn't this politics of convenience that you fight Punjab You're not together.
Absolutely.
You fight Delhi, you're together. So perhaps the sense that went out was that this alliance is very brutal.
Yeah, I mean, look, these things do happen. For example, in Kerala,
Yes.
CPM and Congress are bitter rivals. Bitter, when I say bitter rivals, you actually have to go and see, you know, what kind of animosity or what kind of
Division,
intensity.
yes.
Yeah. Animosity is perhaps not the right word, but what kind of intensity workers of both these parties have.
Ideological differences.
Yeah, ideological
Yes.
differences. Because I've covered a couple of Kerala elections, but you know, this was in 2004, left supported, you know, despite all these differences in Kerala, left supported the Congress-led government UPA here
In the center.
for full 4 years. I mean, you know, until the time they broke away over the nuclear deal, till July 2008, they provided very stable support. So these things do happen, that you fight in one place, as they say that ek jagah dosti, dusre jagah kushti. But so you're friends in one place, you wrestle in another place.
Exactly.
But yeah, you know, that may work out as a political strategy, but you know, for these things to percolate down to the ground level worker and accept, these are two different things. If the ground level worker does not accept this kind of alliance, then no matter how good your intentions may have been, it does not bear good results. Another example that I can cite immediately is the coming together of Bahujan Samaj Party and Samajwadi Party. They were bitter
2019,
rivals,
yes.
2019 in UP.
Yes.
And they were bitter rivals. So you saw what happened. The people were saying that the alliance will sweep because it had the right caste combination, and the alliance will sweep Uttar Pradesh. That did not happen. And if I recall correctly, I think the alliance ended up getting 17 seats, 17, and that too, more seats went to Bahujan Samaj
BSP,
Party
yes.
and less number of seats to Samajwadi Party. What it means is that the voters of BSP did not transfer their votes to the SP,
Yes.
whereas the SP vote got transferred to BSP. So sometimes your permutation combination you can calculate as top leaders or big you know, big picture strategy, but they don't translate on the ground.
Of course, your workers fight the elections for you.
Exactly.
But let's now shift focus to the hill states, sir. Dr. Chaudhary, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Look at the strike rate. Stupendous for the third consecutive term for the BJP.
Yeah, you see that the very demographic composition of Himachal and Uttaranchal actually give a very distinct picture, in the sense that because the BJP has been running these two states in parliamentary elections right from the beginning itself. And one could also say that the organizational and ideological leadership of these two states made BJP successful in 2024 elections as well, making the continuous victory in the two states. One could also see that, say for instance, one could say the example of Himachal Pradesh, where BJP lost in assembly elections. This time when the assembly by-elections and the parliament elections were going side by side, the focus of the Congress leadership was mostly to retain those 6 by-poll seats. So the focus, the slogan was that say one for Modi and one for Sukhu. So which means that the Lok Sabha seats and the assembly seats got divided between the two.
That's
so
right.
they want to just contain themselves while retaining only their by-poll seats, the assembly seats. So no focus was on that. Secondly, even the issue of religion actually came up in Himachal and in Uttaranchal to some extent, because this uniform civil code became very important over there, and one of the important statements made by Harish Rawat ji before the starting of the elections might have brought about, many Congress workers supporting BJP in Himachal Pradesh as well.
Disenchantment with the Congress.
And Uttaranchal, but could say, because a hilly state, and Uttaranchal has got many families coming from the army background, and the army has been kept as a very sacrosanct institution over there. So overall, the middle class, the hilly people in Uttaranchal have been supporting there. There is also one important reason, because the women voters in Uttaranchal, they've always been supporting the BJP-led NDA government over there, because of the policies and programs which have actually percolated down to them. So the women voters have actually come out in support of the BJP government in 2019 elections as well as 2024 elections. This time it did not appear to be difficult for BJP to clinch both the states with the thumping majority and with all the seats.
You talked about the defense forces, Mr. Phukun. Of course, the opposition tried to build this narrative about Agniveer. That clearly didn't work, particularly in Uttarakhand.
Exactly. So it's very interesting because that was precisely the thing that I was thinking while analyzing the elections and results. One thing is fairly certain is that one can't say that Agniveer is not an issue because there are a large number of youth who feel that they need to be employed in the armed forces for a longer period of time. We've seen protests also, apolitical protests. I'm not saying that those who went with Rahul Gandhi in Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about even otherwise. We've seen protests from a lot of students who were initially selected for a full term, and then eventually this Agnipath recruitment scheme came, and their appointments were put on hold and all that. But that did not become an issue. Why it did not become an issue, that's interesting, which means that it did not have the kind of resonance that Congress thought among the youth, that the Congress thought it would. In Himachal, there is an interesting phenomenon. As Mr. Chaudhary rightly said, the focus of the Congress was actually to save its government. 6 of their MLAs had resigned, and then they had actually expelled them. And then all these 6 MLAs had switched over to the BJP and they were contesting.
Yes.
Imagine a situation where all 6 of them had won the election. Then both BJP and Congress would have had the same number of MLAs.
True.
And in that case, BJP would have had 3 less, but don't discount the 3 independent MLAs who were supporting the BJP. So if you add all of them, then it would have become exactly the same number. So then there would have been a crisis for the Sukhu government to survive, which is why their focus was to get even 1 more seat and then save the government. We will live today to fight another day.
Another battle.
So another battle, another day.
That's true.
When it comes to the Lok Sabha elections, if you look at the assembly elections, Kruti, this is very interesting. In the biggest issue in the assembly elections in Himachal Pradesh was the promise of reverting back to old pension scheme.
OPS.
That was the biggest, OPS was the biggest campaign point, and several senior leaders of BJP have actually acknowledged this. People like Anurag Thakur, Information and Broadcasting Minister, he had said that, of course, he said that Congress misled the people, but he had in some ways acknowledged that that was an issue. Interestingly, what happened was that in the Congress manifesto, there were so many guarantees, but OPS as a guarantee was missing. This was a campaign point for them in Rajasthan election, in Chhattisgarh election, in so many other elections. But OPS was completely silent. This was a question that was asked to Mr. Chidambaram, P. Chidambaram, who was the head of the manifesto committee. And he said that, well, we haven't put it in the manifesto, but it's there on our mind. Once our government comes, we will take a call on it. And even the current government has set up a committee to suggest improvements. So we will wait for that committee. But clearly, there must have been a sense of disappointment among government employees in Himachal Pradesh, because that was a distinguishing point. So if that is not there, why should I vote for the Congress?
And there was trust deficit also.
Yeah,
this issue?
because you made a promise last year, and then you haven't really. Of course, they did it. They took a decision for the state, but eventually it was not a national promise.
That's true.
So that would have also impacted some of the votes. I'm not saying that's the only reason. There may have been many other reasons why. And despite the fact that Congress had fielded heavyweights, this Vikramaditya Singh is a minister.
That's true.
And Anand Sharma, Congress veteran, and all of them losing. So, it's very surprising. But as I said, these are some of the reasons or explanations that one can offer why they did badly.
Absolutely. Let's also talk about Odisha here. As a journalist, I think one of the biggest successes for the BJP came from Odisha, both in the parliamentary elections and the assembly elections.
Yeah.
The state bidding adieu to the BJD and welcoming BJP with open arms. Sir, your thoughts?
So one could see that BJD right from the beginning is a part of coalition, though not directly as a part of the BJP-led NDA coalition, but very, very cooperative and favourable to BJP in many important policies. Decisions were taken by the government in 2014 and 2019 as well. Past 10 years, BJP has been making inroads into Odisha while strengthening its organization and bringing large number of people, mainly the tribal people, as part of its core voters. What is more interesting and intriguing at this time is the fact that BJP projected the convergence of both Odia Asmita, that is Odia identity, and the national identity. So both these things got side by side and converged together. They were seen as conversion at that point of time, which means that the state assembly elections which are fought on the local issues and the national elections on the national issues, one could see there is convergence of both local issues and national issues in Odisha. Secondly, one could also see that the term of, say, the Naveen Patnaik's government started taking some decisions which were not being accepted and admired by the people at local level. Specifically in the context of the policies and the programs of central government which were sent to the people. So these policies and programs which were actually central government's policies and programs were being sent to the people, which were being given to the people as part of the state government policies. These policies and programs are actually the policies of the central government, whether it is Ujjwala, whether it is Ayushman Bharat and other schemes. So people started getting realized that, I mean, these policies are actually the policies of the union government, and BJP leadership, BJP organization started making clear to the people at the local level right from the beginning to 2019 onwards. Thirdly, one could also say that for past couple of months or so, BJD leadership got a problem of its successor, and one could see the role of Pandian as it is claimed. So this could have been damaged BJD both at the local level in the assembly elections and the national elections. So it is difficult to find out why this happened, but a sense of disenchantment went against the BJD government, and one could also see that there was a defection within BJD, and Odisha could also be seen as a state where there is more defection across three important political parties, the BJP, Congress and BJD. So a large number of, say, legislators from BJP started shifting towards BJP. This could have changed the, say, state dynamics in terms of national dynamics, and that could have given...
kindly hold your thoughts on Odisha just for a moment. As we speak, NDA unanimously passes the resolution to elect Prime Minister Modi as the leader of the alliance.
Good.
So this is a huge development, Mr. Phukkan. Since morning we've been seeing.
Yeah, so this is...
Chandrababu Naidu ji saying that I am with the NDA.
Yeah, so
we saw that picture from Bihar also, but...
yeah, so this is, look, this is what I had said, that my first opening remarks were that, you know, as far as the alliance is concerned, I don't see any problem at all in the formation of the government. I don't see any problem. I mean, in fact, this is procedural, you know, that I think I just mentioned that Prime Minister Modi had resigned, then he will be elected by the leaders of the alliance partners, then they will go again and stake claim under his leadership. And then Modi government 3.0 will come into existence once he takes oath. I think the only difference from the previous two terms is that they were also alliance governments, but remember the BJP was not at the mercy of alliance partners. So they could take any decision, whether an alliance, it is just out of courtesy that they would say, okay, ye humne kar diya. Whether you like it or not, you will accept it.
Yes.
But here, the difference would be that ye hum karne ja rahe hain. What is your opinion? Because you will need those 32 odd MPs to make that magic figure of 272. So that is one. But you know, these are all allies who have worked with the NDA before.
That's
both true. Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu have been not only with Vajpayee government, their association goes as far back as Vajpayee government of late 90s, 1999 and before that, but also of with Prime Minister Modi.
That's
between 2014 and 2018,
yes.
Mr. Naidu was very much there. Of course, he parted ways over the issue of granting special category status to Andhra Pradesh. Nitish Kumar, of course, you know, parted issues. I mean, he kept going and coming, kept going in and coming out. So, and I wouldn't even recall which are the issues over which he would walk out and on which issues he would walk in. But again, there are some issues where there would be differences, and I think it will take the skill of the BJP leadership, including Prime Minister Modi, to handle those differences. For example, granting special category status to both the states would be certainly an issue. It will be a demand on the table. Caste census, that is something again that will come up. Nitish Kumar's government was the first government that had published the caste survey.
That's right.
But they were demanding a nationwide caste census. So that's again something that the BJP will have to deftly handle and get around the issue. So as I said, the only difference would be that now for major decisions, the routine process of governance, nobody really objects. But for major decisions, decisions like disinvestment, decisions like, say, I think you mentioned about uniform civil code.
Yes.
These are decisions where you will have to have everyone on board. So to that extent, there will be a restraining factor. So earlier, as I said, in the first two editions of Prime Minister Modi's government, he could take any decisions, whether the allies like it or not, it doesn't matter. It's only out of courtesy he needs to inform them. But here he actually needs to inform them and take them on board so that everyone is on the same page. So that's
the difference this time is that both TDP and JDU are not only the pre-poll alliance.
They are pre-poll alliance, yeah.
Yes.
But the important part is that BJP had come to the rescue of both the parties, both the leaders, at a point when they were needing BJP at most. For instance, one could see that JDU going with the RJD and that getting the setbacks. And then who had come to the rescue of, say, Nitish Kumar ji? It is BJP.
Yeah.
One could also see that how...
No, and after coming back to BJP, Nitish Kumar's tally has dramatically improved.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody had expected that he will cross double digit.
That's true.
But he is, I mean, look at RJD was expected to do so well, and they got, I mean, they got only 4
Barely
MPs.
4, yeah.
And Nitish Kumar, after all these years,
Yes.
he is, I mean, as they say that Nitish Kumar never, no matter who is in power, he never goes out of power because he's always with the ruling alliance.
That's true.
So, I mean, call it his luck or his foresight or, but,
Political astuteness.
yeah, political astuteness. But fact is that he read the tea leaves well. And yes, I agree with Professor Chaudhary when he says that even in Andhra Pradesh, TDP actually, see, the synergy happened.
Pawan Kalyan,
yeah,
BJP,
because Pawan
TDP.
Kalyan had earlier tied up. He was already an NDA ally.
Yes.
So TDP actually joined the alliance later, and but obviously that synergy would have worked. And how? I mean, imagine.
Look at the numbers.
Look at the numbers in assembly. This YSR Congress just gets wiped out. From the Lok Sabha also it gets wiped out, and Andhra is a very important state.
That's
so to that extent, yes, the alliances have worked very well, and to that extent, I mean, even TDP would need the BJP, but remember that they will have a hard bargaining power, because no matter how well you sort of gel in an alliance, every party will have their own political thinking, their philosophy, their wish list.
They have to go back to their own voters.
Yeah, they have their own wish list.
Yes.
So there will be more. The spirit of accommodation has to be much more now. Then, I mean, I'll give you an example. When the 3 farm laws were passed, for example, one of the oldest allies of BJP, Shiromani Akali Dal, Akali Dal just walked out, right? Did it make a difference to the government's survival? No, it didn't. So, today the situation is such that Akali Dal has only 1 MP. But fact still remains that it's in politics a lot also matters on perception. The BJP would not like to send out this perception that it doesn't care about the allies. It does not, they can't run a coalition government. They will certainly want all these allies to, be together, take decisions collectively, jointly, and they would like to be seen that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the BJP makes or the Prime Minister himself makes an outreach to Uddhav Thackeray. Maharashtra is an important state, and that's a state where they have done actually very badly. I mean, considering that of the 48 seats, I mean, in Maharashtra, Congress contested the least number of seats and emerged as the biggest player. Of all the political parties there. They contested only in 17 seats. Uddhav Sena also did not, I mean, Uddhav Thackeray led Shiv Sena also did not perform as well as they had expected. You know, and again, Shinde faction also didn't do well. Yes. Ajit Pawar's faction didn't do well. So obviously that is a state, a crucial and a critical state.
And we have the assembly elections as well?
Just a few months down the line. So, you know, that is a state where the BJP would like to cut its losses. And how they are going to do, I can't say, I don't know. But surely, I mean, observing how the BJP functions, I think that will be one of the priority states to improve. Haryana is another state where they've gone down. And again, that's where elections are due, assembly elections are due later this year. That's also where they would like to cut their losses in terms of, you know, choosing the right kind of people.
Dr. Chaudhary, as Mr. Fukan pointed out, that of course decision making, all the constituents would be on board for decision making, but the BJP has been maintaining since yesterday that the reform agenda will continue.
Sure, like when you see that coalition led by the first NDA coalition led by Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, so they had come out with a kind of common minimum program. It was called National Agenda for Governance. So that was successful in the sense that it tried to bring about all the allies together in a common platform, ensuring cooperation, coordination and consensus. One could see the difference of the present coalition vis-a-vis many other coalitions is that whenever there is the larger say base of a coalition with a smaller support, so that gives more sustainability to the working of the coalition. So that's the difference in the present, the third coalition led by the BJP government. So in this coalition, the BJP has a strong base with more than 240 seats with a smaller support. So the chances of the sustainability of this coalition are more. Important point is that unlike these preceding two coalitions, 2014, 2019, since the BJP is not in a position to have a comfortable mandate, majority of its own, so that may lead to be forming a kind of a agenda of governance or a common minimum program where it could bring about all the allies together. One could say that's the right way of perceiving it in social sciences as a consociational coalitional democracy where things are being settled, sorted out through broader consensus. And I think that's again a spirit of parliamentary democracy. Secondly, the challenge for
a healthy practice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
More decision making, and you know, it also sends the right signal that everyone is on board. Decision once you've taken it's much better than to take a decision and to roll it back.
That's
over differences from some ally or something. It's much better that you take everyone on board and then take a decision.
But certainly the challenge is, so when Prime Minister stated that the third term his priority would be bade decisions and kade decisions. So how would you enforce it? There are some important issues like uniform civil code, like population. There are many other issues on disinvestment.
These will always be challenges. I mean, just to give you an example, Chandrababu Naidu, for example, he is from Andhra Pradesh. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, they have substantial Muslim population. So, you know, how does his voters take that? So, I mean, does he insist on a change? Would he? So, you know, Andhra Pradesh, undivided Andhra Pradesh even had reservations on religious. I mean, of course, those Muslims were, of course, part of the OBC, but they had reservations. So, again, those issues would come up. But as Chaudhary ji was saying rightly, that in the first, we remember that the first time people talk about this common minimum program CMP of the UPA government, but even before that, Atal Bihari Vajpayee government had actually a national agenda for governance, where they had, you know, decided these are the key issues where there is complete consensus, and the government will go ahead on these. There are some issues where that requires further consultation, so they would put them in a separate category. So that may not happen, I mean, that may not come back, but I think some kind of a coordination model will come. I think this is my guess, that First of all, we will have a convener of this alliance.
Right.
Then, and it is likely to be one of these two leaders, either Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, and he's performed that role many times before,
Right.
and or Mr. Nitish Kumar. In fact, in political circles, the gossip was that Nitish Kumar walked out of the India bloc upset that he was not made a convener much earlier than and and this thing came very last, so by then he had made up his mind. But whatever be it, the thing is that, so that is one thing, you will see a coordination and you will see a formal structure of consultation. Call it a committee, a coordination committee or something else, I don't know, but I am fairly sure that there will be a formal structure of consultation where all allies, no matter how big or small, I mean Jitan Ram Majhi is one MP, but he's still a different party, and he will also come. He's also a former chief minister. He'll also come. He'll share his views. LJP, Chirag Paswan's party, 5 MPs he has got. So all of them will, put forward their views. So a consultative model is what I see going ahead.
Absolutely, we'll see how things shape up there. But let's also talk about Kerala now. Dr. Chaudhary, political drought for BJP ends finally in 2024 in Kerala.
Yeah, but you must also accept and admit that because right from the beginning, BJP started making its mission south successfully, and it has started making inroads organizationally into different parts of Kerala as well as Tamil Nadu. The 3 important seats where BJP actually contested, one was Thrissur and second was the Thiruvananthapuram.
Yes, sir.
In northern part of Kerala and southern part of Kerala.
Pattanam Pitta, Anil K. Antony.
So like in terms of bringing about new faces or the old faces with new orientation, new intensity, with the policies and programs reaching to southern part of say India, and it was there both in Tamil Nadu and Kerala where BJP actually started strengthening its organization right from the beginning. So one could also see that the South Sangam program where BJP wanted to just make the South connected with the North.
Right.
So there were many policies and programs which were targeting the southern part of the country, and Kerala and Tamil Nadu organizationally they were very strong, and the way BJP entered into allies in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, one could also see that BJP wanted to take these seats very seriously, and the percentage of seats for BJP has actually gone up as you compare to the preceding 2014-2019 elections, specifically in Tamil Nadu and again in Kerala. The one seat opening in Kerala is a big boost for BJP, and it always stated that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with single step. So one single position is taken by BJP in Thrissur. So one could see that how in the years to come, this bipolar context could be turned into triangular contest, and whether this triangular contest could be converted into bipolar contest as well or not. One could also see this kind of resonation in Tamil Nadu, where BJP has succeeded to some extent displacing AIDMK vis-a-vis DMK as a second contender for power in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, absolutely. But Mr. Fukan, what about Karnataka? Do you think these numbers also sprang surprise? Because we saw the narrative built by the opposition there as well. There was a lot of euphoria, Karnataka government, strong leadership, freebies rolled out, and there was this expectation that the Congress may perform better in Karnataka, but that clearly didn't happen.
Yeah, but I had last year covered the assembly elections there, and one thing I had clearly found was that, Karnataka, in any case, Karnataka is a state where BJP has its own solid support base, organic voters. The organization is quite strong, and they have formed governments many times now. So it's not a state where they have to build themselves from scratch, like Kerala or Tamil Nadu. So it is one of their states. You can't say that it's not a BJP state. It has been a BJP state. For the moment, of course, I mean, it's by and large, it's been bipolar, oscillating between Congress and the BJP.
That's right.
And so, I mean, it's not surprise if they do well. Yes, you are right. It is surprise in terms of the fact that Congress is in power. Right now, they're running the state government, and yet they managed to get only 10 seats, whereas BJP had 18 seats. So, you know, or 16 or 18, I think they have got. So it's much more than the ruling party.
The ruling party.
But it's not surprising why I'm saying, because I found that in the while covering the assembly elections last year, that the anger against corruption and against, you know, malgovernance and misgovernance was against the then Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai. Prime Minister Modi continued to be quite popular. So if I would ask people that who do you vote for, then they will say, Yaha Siddaramaiah, Delhi, Modi. So, which means that their voters made a distinction, and he talked about that distinction in Himachal. For example, all 4 seats went to BJP, but 4 of the 6, I think 4 of the 6 assembly seats
went to
in the by-elections went to Congress. So, voters do make that distinction, because, you know, both elections present different factors, local factors, national factors, leadership. What has happened is that I would say that even in 2019, Kruti, if you recall 2018, Congress was not in the Chief Minister's position, but it was more or less their government. You know, JDS Kumaraswamy was the Chief Minister, propped up by the Congress.
That's right.
And they were in power, yet in 2019, BJP won 25 out of 28,
right.
Congress won 1, JDS won 1, and there was one Ambarish. You know, he was
Ambrish.
After Ambarish's death. So Ambarish had also contested as an independent, but eventually supported by the BJP. So 26 out of 28. So from that, Congress had only 1. So I would say that Congress has performed reasonably well. At least they could touch double digit, 10 mile. So they had 10, but yes, the hope or the expectation that they had that their guarantee schemes, because they rolled out many of these guarantees in Karnataka. So the expectation was that, you know, those guarantees will be a game changer, and they can win as many as 18 out of 28 seats. I think those hopes were belied by the current, you know. But as I said, that I found that nationally, Prime Minister's popular appeal was very much there even last year. So, you know, it may have gone down a little bit, I don't know, because the seats show that Congress managed to reach double digit. But clearly, I think voters would have made that distinction between who they want for the state and who they want for the center.
Precisely, precisely. I have to wrap up this discussion, but another very important takeaway from this verdict, Mr. Phukun, you've covered elections for years now. As a journalist, finally, the best thing that came out of this election, the result was that the rigging claims have fallen silent.
Yes.
All those aspersions. I mean, we've been covering elections for years, but finally,
yes,
there's a full stop.
I think there is an editorial in our paper, and a strong editorial in the Hindu this morning. I think political parties need to be, because look, they are stakeholders. We are only journalists, we are outsiders. But political parties are stakeholders. They need to be responsible. And I'm not singling out any political party. Frankly, on all sides this debate has gone on. When the Congress was in power, then BJP was then in opposition, and the similar kind of noises. Now the BJP is in power for 10 years and similar kind of noises come out. I think unless you have some definitive proof, you should not be making, you cannot make these allegations very loosely or lightly, because remember, democracy is a global asset. For India, the Indian tradition of democracy is a global asset. So, and you get that through the process of election. And I think you should not belittle the process. Of course, you have every right. By saying that it doesn't mean that you do not criticize the Election Commission at all. If things are not happening the way it should, by all means, you should. But, you know, just don't make wild allegations and you have no proof to back your claim.
Unsubstantiated allegations.
Unsubstantiated
Yes.
allegation, because you are, first of all, you are making a fool of yourself. You are also bringing down the dignity of the institution.
That's right.
I think, look, the point is the fact that after 10 years in power, if the BJP could not manage, I mean, could not get a comfortable majority, and they had all the slogans of 400 par, 370 on its own, and yet they got a modest 240 seats, falling short by a good 32
Yes.
from the magic number. So that shows that the election process took place well. People expressed their mandate, people voted for all parties, and you know, now this debate should end. People should accept that on some elections you win, some elections you lose. Don't be sore losers, because you know, you are stakeholders in the process, and I think as stakeholder in the process, you need to improve the process, not just, you know, as they say, shoot and scoot. That shouldn't be our attitude.
Absolutely.
You are a stakeholder. If you've seen a problem, you work to improve or remove that problem, work with the commission, work with the government of the day. But you know, these wild allegations, they
just do not work.
especially when senior leader, you know, because look, an ordinary voter, if they hear a chief minister saying this, or a minister saying this, or a 5-term MP saying this, ki ye to ji khel ho gaya, ye aisa ho gaya, wo waisa ho gaya, I mean, he doesn't know what to make of it.
Dr. Chaudhary,
Yeah, that's
the Election Commission is victorious
Yeah.
as all these aspersions fall flat.
And one could say that the sanctity and sovereignty of the Election Commission of India has been accepted both by the adversaries and by the supporters, and it's a mandate for the people as well.
Well, absolutely. And let's wrap up this conversation. Mr. Phukun, your closing thoughts on government formation 2024.
I don't see any problem at all. I think I see this happen pretty fast, because as they say that, you know, there is no vacuum in governance. So I would say that by end of this week we will have a new government.
Dr. Chaudhary?
Yes, the coalition is now moving towards consociationalism, where all the stakeholders, all the allies would come together and work and giving a better, stable, sustainable government for another 5 years.
That's the political scientist ending the show for us. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Phukun and Dr. Chaudhary. Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sunset TV. Goodbye for now from my side.